to Still Dripping Happy Hour.
Welcome to the Still Dripping Happy Hour. This is your host, Mason. On the move tonight, we got Hayes Holla.
Yes, sir.
And we got LP.
What's up?
Dan will be joining us shortly, but we've got a special guest tonight. I'm going to kick it to Landon.
I can't believe this is another moment. We've had several of these with people that we've had on where it's just like surreal.
All right. Yeah, so this is pretty exciting. I'd say this moment pales in comparison to the night that I was engaged to my wife. This man has meant more to me than most in my life. I've known this guy since middle school. I don't know if you know this, but we'll have to break this down. I'm pretty sure the first time I met you was on spring break in Destin in middle school,
where everybody and their grandparents from Nashville went for spring break.
The spot. So I'm not going to waste any more time on the introduction. This is the man that runs sneaker culture and the sneaker industry in Nashville, Tennessee. Ooh. He put the flag on the top of the hill and said, wow, we're going to do this thing in Nashville. And to this day, he continues to carry the torch for all sneakerheads, not only in Nashville, but globally. Alexander McMean from Rooted. Give it up.
Yeah, clap.
I mean, I'm about to pull the cloak off of y'all's eyes and show the real me, because that is an introduction I do not deserve. But thank you very much for that, Landon. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. We've been tossing around your name on this podcast since basically day one. We give free shout outs to Rooted literally, I think, every episode. And to have a founding member of Rooted on here is just, this is next level. I don't know where we go.
This feels like a Beatle. I feel like it's Ringo Starr.
Hey, maybe in a few years, if we continue to the current trajectory that we're on, maybe I can not give you a Beatle. Maybe I'll give you like a Jonas Brother. But Ringo might be just too lofty of a character, but I'll take it for now. I'll take it.
Hey, so what is the Rooted story? Like, how did that happen?
Oh man, this is a good brush up. I have the pleasure of, I think they get the bottom feeders and they're like, I have no idea who's going to talk in chapel, so let's just call Al. And so I'm talking in the College of Business chapel on Tuesday. So this is a good.
Oh my goodness, I had to do that once.
Yeah, it's.
I was asked to do that once.
I'm gonna get eaten alive, so y'all will eat me alive first and coach me up. And this is good to brush this story off, because you don't get to tell it often. So one, just thanks for having me. I'll try not to ramble. I know we're on the time crunch. The Rooted story is really just my best friend Aaron Morrison is a huge sneakerhead, and he kicked around this idea in college of starting a sneaker store. And another buddy of ours, also was hugely into sneakers. That's Jamie, and so he kind of was like, let's just try to see what this looks like. But let's dream about our first, Nike shoe. Let's look at real estate. And I kid you not, those are two of the first things that we did. And we had no clue how to get an account. We had no clue how to pay bills. We had no clue how to do any of that. And I joke with people that anytime that you build something on that foundation, it's going to fail. And we wanted to look cool. We were doing it for the wrong reasons. And, we literally were standing in the Gulch one day looking at a property, and we're like, we have no idea how to pay for this. We have no idea what product we're going to fill this house with. And they're like, at any point we can tear this house down and give you 30 days notice. And that's all we're going to give you. And so that was kind of the like God moment of like, you idiots, what are you doing? And so that was like, hey, maybe we should pause. And so that was like 2014. Dates are probably give or take a year, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. So we shelved it for like a year and a half. And then we kind of resurrect the idea of there's nowhere to go in Nashville. And I love Nashville, and there used to be places, there's just not now. And there's a lot of people, T at Fat Cat, there's a lot of places that did a lot of cool stuff before we got here. And certainly don't want to say that we are, the originators of retail in Nashville. But at the time, we didn't have anything. So you had to go to Atlanta, you had to go online. And so once people started catching on to Kith and started catching on to some other things, then you didn't have a chance to get anything. Like I remember working at Swiftwick, and Aaron would text me like, hey, the flamingos dropped. And I would run to my car, get my wallet, come back to the computer, and still have time to get the shoe. And it was easy. I mean, it was it was, if I know what I knew now, back then, I would get every shoe. I would have never missed. The only reason you miss is if you didn't either have the funds or you didn't want the shoe, which being a poor college kid at the time, was the funds were not accessible. And so we, that was kind of the heart, is just a lack of sneaker and apparel in the city. And luckily I had attached myself to two guys who were pretty freaking good at what they do. And I kind of just happened to be around. I don't know if they let me stick around for just because they didn't want to break my heart or who knows why. But, I did not see the vision that they saw. I did not get the kind of the I don't even know the right word to say. I guess the vision, I'll just leave it at that, that they had, really, until probably the doors open. I'm very like, I need to see this. I'm not a very conceptual guy. I remember standing in the store with them, and they're like, this is where the stock room is going to go. This is where this is going to go. And we're standing in a gravel building with cement walls, and that was it. And I was like, I see gravel and cement. That's all I see. And so really 2016, we started kicking this idea around, and for 13 months, we worked every day after work to write a business plan, all the stuff that I learned in grad school that, the not fun stuff to do is the reason that you have a successful business, is because you have to do that stuff first. It's easy to be excited about a Sean Witherspoon. It's easy to be excited about a Jeff Staple event. It's easy to get excited about Air Max Day, and excited about Yeezy and all these things that we've gotten to do over the last 5 years. That stuff's easy. The hard stuff is paying the bills, not taking a salary for 2 years. That's the stuff that's like, oh, this isn't what Ronnie made it look like. This isn't what, Chris Gibbs at Union made it look like. And so really the heart of it was a lack. And then the drive was, hey, I think we're dumb enough to really go for this and try. And if we fail, great. That's okay. I love stories. I love stories that involve self-deprecation. And it's like, all right, if I spend my life savings up to this point and we open a shoe store and it fails after a year, at least we tried. I would much rather swing and miss than not shoot our shot and say what if for the rest of our life. And so luckily, I had two business partners who agreed with that sentiment. And we kind of went for it. And 17 months later, we're about to open the doors on March 6th of 2017. And I can't believe it's been 5 years. I mean, not to go down a COVID rabbit hole, but it was like, are you kidding? Like 2 years kind of just vanished like that. But at the same time, like 5 years has been an absolute godsend. I thought we'd get 1 or 2. And I say that in jest, like you go to work every day believing that you're going to stay open, but we don't know. We had no idea. I think we hoped, and there's nothing wrong with hope. I think sometimes they say hope's not a strategy, but sometimes it's all you got. And so that was nice for us to kind of get those doors open and say, hey, here we are. And then Nashville, goodness gracious, did the rest. I mean, we're only here because of Nashville. I mean, when we opened, we had Shacknosis on the wall. And I think the people just were like, hey, this could turn into something great. Let's keep buying stuff. Let's keep supporting. And it's a roundabout way of why we started and even how we're here.
So many nuggets in there. Mason,
I just rambled. I'm a rambler, so just
it's a fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
By the way, our time limit is however much you want to do this, man. It's 9:45. You've been working all day, so I mean, that's it.
Hey, my wife went to go get my dad and take him back down to the hospital. My mom went to the hospital yesterday. She's fine, but she now I love her. She's great. Just had to do some tests, and he left his car down there, and she's gonna go get him. And so when she comes home, she's going straight to bed. So I've got all the time in the world. She's a saint. She's amazing, and she's excited. She's like, you're going to be on a podcast. And I was like, I don't think you understand they're doing this just because they have to.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like,
whatever.
this is not a man, this is exciting.
That is
But yeah, we got all the
absolutely
time in the
crap.
world, all the time in the world.
I guess before Rooted, tell us where you grew up, a little bit about your upbringing, anything that sticks out.
Yeah, so born and raised in Nashville, as Landon said, known him for a long time, and I'm definitely thankful for the community that I got to grow up in. I'm one of five. Very thankful. I've got two incredible parents who kind of showed me the I guess the idea of what it means to work hard and not necessarily love your job, but at the same time give you a life that is maybe not something that you could possibly have if you didn't. And so growing up, my dad, he worked at a he was a home builder at first, and the recession hit, and then he became a flooring contractor and worked at DuPont. And then my mom was, cleaning houses and, working 2 or 3 jobs, and just saw hard work for my parents. I always joke that we're not the smartest family, but we definitely, I'd stack our family up against anybody in terms of just working hard. And some of my friends joke, you put your head down too much. And I've got a story for that later. You kind of just put your head down and work, and all of a sudden you look at it like, what am I doing? But grew up in Nashville and have been around Lipscomb my whole life. My parents met there. My grandparents were heavily involved at Lipscomb. I'm one of 25 people now plus in my family to go to Lipscomb. And very grateful for the community there. Got a good buddy. He always says it's just the best education you could possibly get without sacrificing community. And I think that perfectly embodies my upbringing. I had amazing friends. I went to a public school in Brentwood growing up, and then my mom became the high school secretary at Lipscomb, and so that meant discounted education. So here we were, making the jump to Lipscomb, and walked in the first day of school, and I'll never forget. It's like a circle of people, and I'm walking down the hallway. I'm a new kid. Yeah, I played on the football team in the summer, but I was like, 4'8", and I weighed like 75 pounds. And football was not mentally, I was there, but physically I was not. I always joke that if I had the physical abilities, I'd make Johnny Manziel look like a saint, because I just have sometimes an attitude. But I walked into school, and those friends are still my best friends to this day. They kind of parted the circle, let me step right in and close the circle. And then, that group has been some of my very best friends, people who have been in my wedding, who attended my wedding, who I've been there for the birth of their kids, and Lord willing, they'll be there for the birth of mine and Court's children, Lord willing. And so really that was kind of the start. And I've always been obsessed with sports and running and basketball and baseball, and you name it, we did it. We were always outside, and I was fighting with my brother and, picking on my little sister, and, begging my older sisters to take us to Slam and Sam's in the Cool Springs Mall to trade baseball cards and, all kinds of stuff. And, I think at an early age, I knew I wanted to go to Lipscomb University, and I'll fast forward through a couple of years, and, just was like, what, I'm going to Lipscomb. I looked at Sanford for about 2 weeks because my best friend at the time, still best friend, but at the time I was looking at Lipscomb, and we looked at Sanford for a little bit, and I was like, I can't afford it. My mom doesn't work there, and I don't get a discount. So I'm going to Lipscomb.
That's easy.
And yeah, I was a biology and chemistry major, and I wanted to be a doctor, and I was doing it for financial security. The only reason I wanted to do it, my grandmother, her dad was a doctor, died when she was young. And I think that this allure of what it means to be a doctor, means to be respected, means to be smart, all these things, that's what I was chasing. And I was sitting in class and swang and studying one night for a test, and I had a buddy who was like, you don't want to do this anymore, do you? And I was like, absolutely not. And I started weeping because just tears of joy, because like no one's ever asked me that. I've just been putting up a front, and this is what I want to do. And so kind of just made this jump. I was running cross country and track at Lipscomb at the time. I had walked on halfway through my junior year, and I was like, all right, I got a choice. Either you finish a job you don't necessarily want to do, which is biology and chemistry, because I wanted to run so bad. And so I had a choice to either be ineligible and change majors, or stick with my major and keep running. So I kept running, and I was grateful for it, because it taught me how do you do something that you don't necessarily love because you're doing something else that you really, really enjoy. And so I was definitely the dumbest kid in every class. I finished my test last. I joke there's a medal stand, and then there was me, which is, we call it the Arkansas medal stand, and it's the bottom 3. You finish in the bottom 3 of every test, the bottom 3 of everything. And I was last. I took an exam once it was a 200 question exam, and I was on question 33, and the other 6 people in the class had turned in their exam. And that's just basically my collegiate education in a nutshell. So that just led me to being on the team and loving that, and helped me get into grad school at Lipscomb. And I went for management. I thought I wanted to be in either a high school or college AD. And after talking with Hutch and shattering him and picking his brain, and I was like, man, that's not what I want to do either. And so then I was like, okay, now what? And then it turned to, I've grown up in church, and it's been fun to see this idea go from, legalism to, I'm very thankful that my parents had me in church whenever the doors were open, because I want to do something in ministry. I don't know what that looked like. I had no idea what that was going to mean. So I started knocking on those doors a little bit, and which led me to a job in logistics, which I didn't love. I was behind a computer
was that Swiftlick?
That was not. So Swiftwick was probably 2010 to 2013.
Okay.
Somehow conned him into thinking I could do marketing. And so I did marketing for them for a few years and loved it. Unbelievable company, still wear their socks every day. I still say we when I refer to any past business, because I loved where I've worked, and no different for Logo Brands is where I worked, and it's 2 strong Christian men ran the company, and I was, routing tables and tents and chairs and blankets from China to Dick's Sporting Goods and Walmart and all these places. I didn't love it, but I loved their leadership style. I loved the way they poured it into their employees and the way they loved them and supported them both financially and emotionally, career-wise. And so I did that for a little while until we figured out we were going to do Rooted. And in the interim was the director of soccer operations. I was a DOSO for the women's soccer team, leading up to opening Rooted, and then we opened the store. So
dang, you've done everything.
Yeah.
So one thing I caught in there was that it didn't sound like you went into ministry per se, but talk about how you use your faith and Rooted, and how does that help you? How do you use that in running your business and your company and your decisions? Like that's a major part for all of us on here. Like you probably realize that. Like we always say that the community here, the sneaker stuff and the fashion stuff, it's just a con. It's a thing that draws us together, that we enjoy together. But ours is like found. It's rooted in Jesus first, and it just is another way to connect. So just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that's a great point, and one I don't sometimes do it very well. And I think that brings back to the human element, and it only makes our case for bragging and proclaiming the Lord even better, because it's like, it's not me, it's not us. Like, we're not sometimes great at this, but Rooted actually comes from Colossians 2:6-7. That was kind of the heart of where we just how we wanted to treat people. And my parents had done a great job of helping us see the value in treating, the custodian like the CEO. It's kind of something that I've always shared, and I've always learned, something I've watched them embody. My mom would treat the custodians at the high school like they were royalty, and they treated her the same way. And I think I saw that from a young age, from 6th grade on, and been like, wow, like, they in some ways can't do anything for her, but in other ways can do everything for her from an emotional standpoint and all these things. And so really that's where a big portion of Rooted was born. To your point, it's like, it's very awkward for males to say, hey, like, let's talk, let's do this. And so shoes and clothes are a great icebreaker to do that. And so that's why we love the business that we're in, because that's what we did for 13 months leading up to the store opening. We'd see, if Dan had a hat on, be like, oh, we really like that hat. Like, let's go talk to this guy. And so we go talk to him at a coffee shop for however long he listened to us, just talk to him. And so we did that every single day for 13 months, whether it was at Crema or Barista Parlor or the Well, or you name it, we went there. And that's kind of where it was born. And that heart for just people and community. And God didn't have to give us community in any way, but he chose to do so. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And To your point, I was the oldest intern in Hillsborough youth group history. I was 24, trying to figure life out. And I think sometimes we do a bad job of saying, hey, either you're a youth minister, you're a college minister, or you're a, preacher from the pulpit, and that's the only way to do ministry. When in all reality, it's like we need Christians who are serving Starbucks and flipping burgers and running, Fortune 500 companies.
It's the Kanye thing, right? It's like, exactly. We should be excellent. We should be excellent. We should be the standard of excellence, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And I think sometimes we say, oh, it's good Christian music. No, I just want to make good music, period. It doesn't matter if it's Christian or what. Like, we should be the mark. Like, we should be setting the standard. And in all reality, I think it goes the other way. And so I think a lot of that drove our hearts for why we wanted to do Rooted was, okay, if I'm not gonna be a youth minister, if I'm not gonna be this, I'm not gonna be that, then how can I impact people selling shoes and clothes?
Yeah.
It was hard. I think one night, I think I was very disgruntled. I was very frustrated for like the first 6 months that we opened, because you think it's going to be one way and it's the exact opposite. You think it's going to bring you fulfillment, happiness, joy, all these things. And it's like, this sucks. Like you again, going back to the, we were working 7 days a week, not getting paid. And I don't say that as like, I want any like, oh, you did a great job. Like, no, that was a reality. We didn't have any money, so we couldn't get paid. Anything we did make had to go back in the business, or I was going to have to go work another big boy job again. I definitely didn't want to do that. And so I was bitter. You miss Sunday lunches with your family, you miss church on Wednesday nights, you get there late and it's over. And I always joke, like, God didn't give us church to say, hey, you're going to hell if you miss your 17th Wednesday night in a row. But there's a reason he gives us community. He wants us to be around each other. He wants us to be in the Word. And so I had this lady who walked in, and she said she lived upstairs, and she walked in to the shop. I was like, Rooted. She's like, y'all are Christians, aren't you? And I was like, huh? Like, where did you get that? And I was like, yes, ma'am, we are. This is awesome. And she's like, I live upstairs. I've seen y'all for the last couple of months, and I just wanted to come in here. And she starts walking around our center cabinet, and she's quoting Psalms, she's quoting Proverbs. She's basically like, you're interacting with way more people here than you ever could have if you were in ministry. She had no idea that I wanted to do ministry, none at all. I'd never shared that with her. I'd never seen her before. And she's asked me to the point of tears. It was a Wednesday night, and I was like, man, it's like, I don't cry often, but when I do, it's because I've been extremely humbled by the Lord. And it was a very humbling night of like, hey, you think you're in charge of your life, but you've been looking at it this way when you've been able to open a store with two others, and you've been able to have all these people come in, and you're getting to do something you always dreamed of, but you've been bitter, frustrated, angry. And let me show you really what this could look like. Yeah. And that was a huge turning point for me personally at Rooted, because I needed that kick in the pants. I needed that, hey, you aren't God. And let me show you why I am. And so that was very, very, I'll say nice is not the best word for it, but I'll just say it was nice. So sometimes we don't get that, I'm going to say second chance. We don't get it that easy, where it's that just, I think it's because I joke that like, I'm sometimes stubborn or stupid or, whatever. And he had to get my attention in that way.
I have had similar experiences in life too, but also it is, it's one thing if your parents tell you something, and it's different if your coach tells you something. Like if it's basketball, get your elbow in. Like my dad could tell me that 1,000 times. My dad doesn't know crap about basketball, because I'm not going to listen to him. But if it's somebody else, like it gets your attention, and that can't be.
I don't know why we
y'all
do that
laugh
too.
Because it's so true, right, Dan?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I have no idea why we do that. We don't believe that people who are in our corner,
because we struggle with the human
but
condition. It's the human condition where sin is why we do that.
Yeah, amen. And so that was the heart of like, hey, you actually have early on it was a half dozen or maybe a dozen people a day coming into Rooted, but this time it might have been 50, 60 people on a weekend coming in. And not to say that I was standing there with my Bible and like smacking them in the head, let me tell you about Jesus, but it was more so the way that we talked to them, the way that we treated them. Now, we would definitely not shy away if people asked us. Yeah. And there were definitely moments where I'm sure we did, and thank the Lord, a lot of grace for that. But it was just fun to be able to say, hey, you're more than just a customer. You are somebody that we have grown to know, to love. Like there's a lot of my friends who I would have never met if it weren't for the store. And I always love that y'all like have this group, and we're a small part to play in that, when Landon's camping out, and, when Dan drives over from Memphis. And I think it's just crazy that shoes and clothes could bring us together like that. And what a nice reminder that we don't have to have this stuff, but like, it's fun. It's just like the devil's advocate, like, hey, what's enough? What's too much? Like I've got 120 pairs of shoes in my closet. It's probably like, it's time to get rid of some and use that money for something else. Anyway, sorry.
That's
No,
great.
you're good. You're good. That was awesome. Talk about, I guess I'll try to give a little context of what we're going for in this question. But so the last 2 years we've had, I don't know how long ago, but you guys got broken into, that might've been 3 years ago. I'm not sure, but you've had
Well,
COVID.
there was another one during COVID. Like you got broken into during COVID. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And COVID and
Happened a few times.
not having lineups anymore outside the store and all that. It's kind of forced you guys to go into like unique partnerships, I guess, with the community. So talk about COVID and then those partnerships that you guys have been able to do with like Hermitage Cafe is.
Yeah. So,
Rest-
I mean,
rest in peace.
well, yeah, so true. I need a patty melt right now. I think that was March 13th, 14th, 2020, something like that. We had the Kentucky and Syracuse Junks coming on Saturday, and this is 9 o'clock on a Friday, and people are already camping out. I'm like, do you not have wives and kids and lives and things to do? I was like, go home. I was like, this is crazy. And I'm not talking like there were one or two. There's like 15 people in line. And I remember, Jamie calling and saying like, oh, hey, like we have to shut the line down. And I'm like, why? Like, that's crazy. He's like, well, because obviously all the COVID stuff going on. And I was like, oh yeah, duh, that's fair. And just not good optics. And so we shut it down. We got their information and we're like, hey, we're not going to make y'all enter the raffle. We assume y'all would have stayed here the whole time. And so we'll let you guys win the pairs. And then obviously we raffled off the rest. And so we joked very early on that we were either going to die during COVID or we were going to thrive. There was no in between. It was going to make us a stronger business or we're going to be out of business. And so it forced us to figure out, okay, where do people, we didn't lay anybody off, praise the Lord. All bills got paid. A few employees wanted to go a different route and we love and respect them. And we're like, okay, go ahead. Like, we don't want to be like, no, you can't. And so it was awesome in a way. And it's weird to kind of balance like the seriousness, yes, of COVID and, the last 2 years, but also be able to say like, it was needed for us in a way. And it was very good because Nike called early on. And if y'all remember at the time, we weren't allowed to sell Nike online. You had a little order form and you had to email us or call the shop. And so they said, hey, you can sell our product online. And that was huge. We still don't have the necessary e-com infrastructure to do like a day of release, but it helped us with our draw system and it helped us to, they gave us more shoes than we've ever gotten before, which was nice because now we're having, instead of having, let's say 300 people in Nashville are seriously interested in shoes. Now we dealt with the problem of, now we have thousands of eyeballs, thousands of people entering. We had one release where 22,000 people entered for a draw. We have never had 22,000 people enter. And so you're kind of, we had to fix the website, had to fix, inventory and make sure everything was online. There's a ton of stuff in the shop that was not online and that's not anybody's necessary fault besides the owners for not putting some good stuff in place. And so that it kicked us in the pants real quick. And so it was very, very grateful for the brands. I think we saw a lot of their support and it's easy to think like these big brands don't care about you. And we're definitely here to say like, I disagree with that sentiment. Our rep calls us immediately and says, hey, I'm going to do whatever we can. I want you guys to stay open. We know you're a small mom and pop shop. I promise you we'll do whatever we can to help you keep the doors open. And so whether that's instead of getting, 12 or 18 Jordan 1s, now we might get 36. Instead of getting, 50 Yeezys, you might get 75, you might get 100 now. And so that helped tremendously. And the only way we were able to survive was having a bunch of employees and staff who were stellar at what they did and kind of stepped in and were like, hey, I don't know how to do e-commerce, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to help. Hey, I don't know how to take, photos, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn. And we just trusted them to do the job. Whether we trusted them really, or we had no other choice, it didn't matter. We had to. And so I think that helped us tremendously over the last 2 years, just kind of say like, hey, we gotta figure it out. Now, on the other hand, that caused us some issues, because instead of, y'all being able to line up in, at the store and guarantee you get a pair, now you gotta just literally, no pun intended, it's luck of the draw. And so, they don't want us to put out numbers, and we get that and we respect that. But at the same time, it's like, guys, we're still getting 30 to, anywhere from 18 to, let's call it 50 pairs. It doesn't matter what the shit. And now, instead of having you be able to come to the store to get it, now we have thousands of people online trying to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we only not have pissed off our Nashville customer base, we've really frustrated our now newly like global customer base. And so we've had to learn that you just can't win, and we're trying our hardest, and we try to keep it, we try to switch it up and do local draws that are short, local draws that are longer. We try to do global draws. We try to do first come, first serve. Is there a system? No. And that's fine, because again, like I said, we don't have the e-commerce structure to say like, hey, at 9 o'clock, we're going to release this shoe, because there's bots. But for the draw, say we have 500 people enter, what people don't understand is we're filtering out everybody who enters. If there's a duplicate address, if there's a duplicate entry, they're gone. It takes forever. Like I've got 2 to do tonight, 3,000 entries total, and it's probably going to take me 4 or 5 hours. But at the same time, it's very, very worth it.
And you're doing this?
Regardless of, for sure. This is the fun stuff. But it's like, regardless of what people say, I'm very much a people pleaser. Regardless of what people say, as long as we know we are doing our very best to get shoes in the hands of customers, that's all we care about. There's going to always be people who are upset they lost. Like we had a guy who's complaining on Instagram right now about losing a shoe, yet we wrote him a handwritten note like we do in every order, 31,000 orders now. Everyone has gone out with the handwritten note for the most part. And we wrote him a handwritten note last week for a draw that he won, for a very highly sought after shoe that he won fair and square. And then, he lost one draw since then, and now it's back to Rooted's draws are rigged. It's like,
oh my god!
And we're not going to expose them. I'm not going to go on there and be like,
Good
hey,
for
do you remember, do you remember your card declined for the last 2? Do you remember that we still let you, even though it declined?
Man, he was going in on somebody.
He was crap.
If that's not a sign, not a sign that I talk too much, I don't know what is.
No.
I mean, Zoom just shut down.
You were about to just like expose somebody and roast
That's
them.
probably
That's
good.
why that happened.
No, I wasn't trying to roast. It's just like a guys, if you don't think that we want to sell hundreds or thousands of pairs of shoes, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like I would absolutely love to do that. But at the same time, we know they're sought after. The shoes are $100 and they're $400 for a reason, because Nike has made, very few, or I say very few. They want it to seem that way.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I mean, we wouldn't be talking without a lot of these brands that we carry. So it's just kind of that, how do you balance, the frustration of customers and taking it seriously and saying we don't have it all figured out, but also saying like, hey, I've entered, I've got myself, my family, and I've got another, group of 15 that have entered for almost every raffle on Nike, every sneaker drop on Nike, every, I've got my wife, she's on Soul Retriever. She's like, why am I paying $15 a month for this? And I was like, because we have to use it so we can try to get shoes. And we lose too. And we want to be sensitive to that. And again, don't want to think that we have it all figured out. But at the same time, like, some people are just going to complain.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
You can't make totally everybody happy, right?
No, I just try.
It's impossible.
I just try. That's why I'm thankful for my business partners.
Hey, this isn't a counseling podcast, but what's your Enneagram?
That's a good question. I've never taken the Enneagram.
Oh.
I'm not. Some people have said I'm a 7. Some have said I'm a 3.
You're not
2.
supposed to tell people what you are. Like, that's part of it. So
oh, really? Oh, see, that just shows that I'm telling the truth.
Don't tell.
No
Hayes told me what I was, so don't let him.
You did not. That's bullcrap. That is absolutely
totally
false.
did. You totally.
I told you to go take the freaking test.
Yeah,
Landon
whatever.
and I are the same. Landon and I are the same. We were like birthed from the same ovaries or
Yeah, you can.
whatever the
No,
medical
no.
whatever the medical part is.
Every time we have a
Man.
guest on, you want to talk about some biological thing.
Oh,
That's-
that's biology, bro. I'm just talking about science.
Fair.
Leave me alone. What was it like collabing with the Titans and how that
Yes,
happened? Good grief.
I was just about to ask this question. And also,
Oh,
yeah, how did this come about? But also, how did you get all of these? I mean, the range of people that were modeling for the shoot, I mean, it was like, it was awesome. It was like the entire
yeah.
spectrum of people. So how did that come about?
Well, I got married in April of last year, and we were on a honeymoon, and we got broken into, and so I'm talking to Aaron, I'm talking to Jamie, and they're like, this sucks. We'll take care of it. Enjoy your trip, but also you've got some good news when you come back. And I was like, good news. And I was like, what some good news can come from somebody stealing, $27,000 for the stuff from us? Yeah, that's sidebar. People think that we did it ourselves, and I'm like, I can't even entertain you right now. I was like, you think I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, to take these phone calls, and they're trying to figure out who did it and all that. It's like, this is crazy. I do not want to commit insurance fraud. I'm not going to prison. You think my little scrawny behind is going to survive prison? No.
Did they get caught?
And
Are you allowed to say that?
no, they didn't. They still haven't. And
Oh, that's
I
cool,
guess
crap.
if they're listening, then congrats. But it helped us again.
Congrats.
They got away with that one to help make us better. But they called me and we get back from that trip, and they're like, the Titans want to collab with us. And I was like, excuse me? Like, the Tennessee Titans want to work with us? And like, yeah, they're doing this really cool thing. And then some stores have done it in Chicago and have done it in LA, and they want us to do it. And so really it started in late April, early May of 2021. And it took every bit of the next 9 months to come up with designs, get things approved, get things made in COVID. And so it was like very much a pinch us moment. Growing up, I must say I grew up a Cowboys fan because we didn't have the Titans yet. And then when we got the Titans, it was like, Dion had left, Emmett is declining, Troy Aikman is Troy Aikman, and yeah, he's great, but at the same time, it's like, all right, I'm on the Steve McNair, Eddie George, Frank Wycheck hype train, and they're down the street, and that's cool as a 8-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid. And so that was kind of this pinch us moment of like, we get to do this. And this is like another level of, sometimes in a good way, we don't take ourselves as seriously as maybe we should. I think it's this fine balance of knowing that we're still the small fish, but also like, okay, maybe there are some bigger things that we could do and dream up. And as far as the release goes, it was, we had our eyes on Dolly, and can we get, we had some other people that I can't share that we were they had said yes, but then their managers get involved, and they say no, and that's fine. So then we're
Put
like,
them on
okay,
blast. Who is it? Come on.
I can't.
I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Thomas
And
Rhett. Thomas Rhett.
no, Tom is awesome. I love Tom. He's amazing, and definitely was not Tom. And so we're like, okay, what is rooted? What is rooted in terms of this collab? How can we be authentic? How can we be genuine? And we realize that there's a large contingency of people that support us that are doing crazier things than we do. And so we're like, how can we highlight them, yet also kind of use their, that's not going to say platform, but how can we highlight them, but also like, it's pretty crazy that Ernest is, wearing our stuff. It's someone I've grown up with. I love him to death. We grew up in church together. His dad was my health teacher in high school, and someone who now is doing crazy things, and he wants to model for us. Sure, that's amazing. Cheryl Crow, are you kidding? Had a mutual connection there, and she was like, yeah, I'd love to do it. And this ball starts rolling of just people who are in the Nashville community, who were like, yeah, I would love to rock the Tennessee Titans rooted collab. I think so much so that some people thought like, hey, is this actually an official collab? They thought we just bootlegged it and did it ourselves. And I was like, no, like we have like the hologram, like we have the NFL hologram, like on the tag, like it's there, it's on the tag. And so really it just turned out to, and the Titans were super supportive, and they're like, yeah, we can get Chris Johnson and Jamie has a great relationship with Anthony Fixture, and Ray has had a great relationship with UC Soros. Pecco would have done it, but he was out of town. And so all these things, just like, you just forget, like, those guys, while they are at the pinnacle of their craft, they do some amazing things. They also appreciate, what we've brought to the table. And I think that is like also one of those, like I said, pinch me moments of, this is crazy. Like, they're not doing us a favor. They do this because they like the brand. They wouldn't put their face on it. They wouldn't let us use their stuff if they didn't believe in the brand. So that was like a kind of a nice way to, like, okay, thanks. And there's like some other customers who, from a national standpoint, aren't big names, but who are very vital to who we are as Rooted. And it was fun to highlight them as well. Like a Khalil Arnold. It's like, you wouldn't look at Khalil and be like, he's our typical customer, but he's done more for Nashville than I could ever dream of. The conversations, the amazing times that I've had inside of Arnold's, you literally couldn't pay for. And so it was an honor for him to say, yeah, like, heck yeah, brother, I'd love to wear that. And so that was kind of the rollout. How did we get this, like, community play and bombard everybody with a lot of, I say smaller names, anybody smaller than Dolly. No pun intended, but it was just sorry.
What size shirt would you have to put her in? Like, how do you hem that thing up?
Yeah, that's luckily we didn't have to worry about that. And so luckily everybody said yes, and it was very seamless of like, let's just go, let's just do this, let's pump it out. And that was kind of the release.
It was amazing. It was so cool. When I saw that, when that first initial video came out, I was like, what the heck are they doing? I was like, this is the coolest thing. I was like, can I believe this is happening?
Yeah, Ben Skipworth did the video, and he's done Titans commercials and doing just amazing things. And the fact that he's like, yeah, I'll come shoot this for you guys. We're like, huh? Like, you actually said yes? Like, we're always going to ask. And if the answer is no, we would rather ask and it be no than us not ask. And so, like, he had a great vision for the release. And Jamie, Ray, the gang had some good ideas for what the release is going to look like, in terms of the rollout. And thankful for Slim and Huskies and those guys for letting us use their art studio. And it worked out to be awesome. We literally couldn't have. I'm so glad that it was that, because I think it showed the heart of Rooted more than if we had a bunch of famous people that we really didn't know, wearing our stuff and showcasing it as the brand. So, blessing in disguise, I'd say. But Dolly, if you're listening, we want you for the next one.
Maybe if she's Russian, like, we have some Russian listeners. Maybe she's listening from Russia. I'm sorry. And some Swedes. We got some. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
I was going to say something stupid. Not worth it.
No, do it.
No.
Come on, do it.
Not appropriate.
We'll cut it. Just do it. Perfect. All right.
I've got a question about the company culture and the storefront. So you mentioned, you started working the storefront. Now you're at the warehouse. You've grown your employee base. How do you pass along the heart of community that you just grew up in it, right? Like, there was no training for being Alexander. You were just the special man of God that you are. How do you pass that along in a scalable way to people that are now interacting with your customers?
Well, and one, thank you. But two, I think it's a lot of people showed me a lot of things that helped get us to this point. Like I said, my mom was a high school secretary, and I was in sixth grade, and at the time I thought it's because the seniors wanted to be nice to me. In hindsight, it's probably because they wanted to, skip school and get in my mom's good graces. And so, a lot of the seniors treated me like I was a freaking star. And I think that helped give me some confidence that I might not have had as a sixth grader, and helped me to, I don't care how old you were, it doesn't matter what you look like, what you thought, what you believe, like, I'm going to talk to you regardless. And it's definitely not something that, like, I can say, like, oh, I did that, that's on me. No, it was on people who were way older than me being kind, and you can only take them at their word. And so, we'd have some guys go on recruiting visits and bring me back some stuff from Ole Miss, or bring back some stuff from some other places. And it's like, okay, wow, like, you're 18 and a senior and you're taking care of a little sixth grader, like, that's awesome. So I think that definitely helped spur me on to, like, our actions and how we treat and talk to people matter immensely. And it's hard because you think that people don't care as much as you do. And in a way that makes sense. Like, they're not going to notice the nicks in the wall, and they're not going to notice the dirt on the floor and this and that. But sometimes it's like, okay, let's not let perfect be help us stand in the way of something great. And so I think that sometimes, our fault is like we want it to be so right that we kind of handicapped ourselves. And so I think we're still figuring it out, not from that we don't have a great staff. We have an unbelievable staff, but just having to let go and not being in control of every conversation that happens in the store, and just trust that the people you hired are doing a fantastic job. And I think we get some real encouragement when we get some DMs or some Facebook messages or some emails of saying like, hey, I got treated like a royalty at the shop. Ray did an amazing job, or Michaela did an amazing job, or Georgie, Julian, the staff, like anybody who has worked there has gotten praise from some of our customers out of the blue. And I think that's a testament, not to, again, what we've done, just a testament to, I don't even want to say the right place at the right time, just having a good foundation of employees who care about the customer. And I think you can tell. I think you can definitely tell early on when you're talking to people who like, who's in this for real, or who's like, okay, they want something. We all know what that's like. We all know what the used car salesman feels like. And so we didn't want to ever give across that vibe. And so I think it helped us early on to say like, yeah, we need your money to stay open, but we also know that you're going to go to your friends. And if you say that we love what you're wearing and they think that you look like an idiot, that's an indictment on us. And so it helped us be honest. Aaron would get frustrated working at that finish line and say Landon came in for a pair of running shoes and he bought some insoles. Let's say Landon comes in the next day. And so I'm supposed to sell him another pair of insoles, even though he bought a pair yesterday. Like that makes no sense. And so our joke is like we sell without selling. We be honest. And if someone doesn't want something, that's okay. Because we've had people who have, shopped with us 1,000 times. We have people who have been in there 100, have never bought anything, but they're just as important as the people who have been in there and spent, $5,000 or $10,000 because, and y'all will understand this early on, like, we needed the emotional support more than we almost needed the financial support. And that helped us get to, to the point where we can employ people. And those customers were like, I guess the employees were customers of the shop, and they saw how we did things and we saw how we treated people, and they enjoyed that. They respected that. And that's to say, not every person that we employed was a Christian or believed in God. But at the same time, I think they saw the outcomes, the way that we treated people, not from a financial gain, but from wow, these people would do anything for, just we treated people with respect and love and dignity. And we got a lot of things wrong sometimes. I'll be honest. I've chirped at a few customers, and, the homeless men and women who come in the store sometimes have been definitely humbled by them. And I've had some people come in and buy some stuff. I didn't think they were going to buy anything. And that's good. And you need to be knocked back down. You need that reminder of like, hey, your pride kind of got in the way. And so I think it's definitely hard as a control freak to say like, what are they listening to today? What are they talking about today? But just as long as we continue to treat our employees with that love and respect, they're going to turn around and do that to our customer base. And if they don't, then you have some conversations. But luckily we haven't really had to do that, and they've seen the value in treating people that way for absolutely no gain. And I think it's been a blessing, certainly over the last 5 years because of that.
Dang. Well, what about, okay, so let's talk sneakers. How do you decide, man, because y'all got brands in there that I hadn't even heard of, and I like keep up with this crap. How do you decide what goes in there and who's finding all this stuff?
That's a great question. And I love this because this is the part that I love to brag about, because I have no skin in the game when it comes to picking and choosing what is brought into the store. So it's fun to say like, oh, hey, like, yeah, this brand's amazing. And, Aaron picked out, or this brand's amazing. And, Ray saw it, or Jamie saw it. It's like, it's just fun. And I think a lot of the times that we thought when we were first opening, we first were in New York, and they're like, do you want to make a pull? And we're like, we don't even know what that means. We're like Googling, like, what does make it? What does make a pull mean? It's just like you go into a showroom, and it's like we're ordering stuff 6 months in advance. And so it's like they have all their clothes. You go into a huge showroom, and they've got hundreds of pieces out. Let's use Stone Island, for example. And they've got stuff that works for their Canadian stores, they have stuff that works for their Florida stores. A lot of people in Florida aren't going to be wearing a goose down jacket, but they're going to be buying a bunch of t-shirts and a bunch of, lightweight jackets and other things. So I think the brands do an amazing job of helping the stores succeed, or else they wouldn't succeed. You call it selfish, you call it whatever you want, that's fine. But they don't want to leave it up to us to ruin their product. And I'm very grateful for that. And so they kind of dictate not dictate, they're already
Direct.
making the styles, they direct us. And
Yeah.
our buyers, they will look at things and say, hey, I want to take a chance on this, or hey, like this isn't going to work for us, so we're not going to buy this. But they kind of keep us in a lane, if that makes sense, which is fantastic. And so I think that's part of the joys of having a team. Like if it were up to me, I wear Air Commando shorts and a t-shirt every day, and I'm 32, and I'm like, maybe I should up my fashion game. And luckily there's some people who know a lot more than I do. Like Aaron would bring stuff up that I'm like, I've never even heard this brand, but I love you and I trust you with my life, so let's ride. And so now that we know a little bit more, it's like, oh, it's nice to like, oh, hey, like I think this brand's gonna be hot. Like let's take a not even hot, that's a terrible definition. This brand fits with our matrix pretty well. Let's bring them on. If it fails, if it doesn't work, that's okay. No one's going to be like, 5 years from now, going to be like, you idiots, you carried blah, blah, blah 5 years ago. It's like, we tried. We try to offer something for our customer base. And if they don't like it, then they'll tell us by with their dollars. And if it's not selling, then we'll get rid of it. And that's not to say that we don't have some stuff that we believe in, regardless if it sells well or not. But it also means we're not going to bring stuff in just for the almighty dollar. Yeah. But it's this fun, balance of the two, and I don't have to worry about that. So
I don't get the sense that you're the type that will walk into the grocery store with a Stone Island hoodie and Mason Margiela joggers, and then like whatever crazy sneaker on. So what is like your everyday like? What do you look like?
Oh gosh, my warehouse boys are gonna listen to this, and the rest of the team is gonna listen to this. And like, this guy wears Lululemon shorts and Hokas every day at the warehouse.
Not Hokas. Are you serious?
Went out to they're my running shoes, and I wasn't I like to wear a lot of different running shoes. I love Nikes. I love all kinds of stuff. I had a friend who's like, try Hokas. I didn't love running in them, but I love wearing them around. And so that's a warehouse beater. But then when I go to, on a date with my wife or something, I might wear some John Elliott, cargos, or a John Elliott t-shirt. And, my buddies Kyle and Aaron, they kind of got me hooked on John Elliott. And I just do with things that they do, to be honest with you. If they tell me it's cool, I'll buy it. They brought me over to their house one day. I'm a Lakers fan, grew up loving Kobe, and they basically were like, let's see what we can get out to buy today. And they called me over to their apartment. I was in college, and like, we think you need this jacket. And like 30 seconds later, I spent $170 that I didn't have on this Mitchell & Ness jacket, Lakers like pullover, and they start dying laughing. And I'm like, why are you laughing? And they're like, we just wanted to see if we could get you to buy this. And I was like, I really hate y'all. But they put me onto a lot of brands, and having some stuff at the stores put me onto a lot of brands. So, I really like Heron Preston. I really like John Elliott. I really like and appreciate the craftsmanship of Stone Island and the dyeing techniques and all the things that they do. But also really like Honor the Gift, and, what Russ has done with his brand, and how he's, created a pretty affordable price point, because not everybody can buy a t-shirt that's $170. Yeah. It's like, this is crazy for, a brand like Stone Island, but I can spend $40 on a t-shirt or $38 on a t-shirt. If you talk to, somebody like, that's a crazy amount to spend on a t-shirt, but I'm like, that's a bargain, dude. Like, I've spent way more on that, Acme Studios. I've spent $200 on a t-shirt. And I'm not proud to admit it, but I gotta be honest. No, I sold it. I sold it because I didn't have any money at the time.
Oh yeah, we're all judging you.
What's your first sneaker memory, or that first shoe that was like, I like sneakers now?
I can't remember the year. Maybe it was 2000, 2001. No, it had to be pre 2001 because I was at Lipscomb at the time. I was in elementary school and I was at the Destin Nike outlet. It used to be the goat of Nike outlets. And I had saved up some money from birthdays and Christmas and whatever else. You know, I grew up cleaning houses with my mom. I would vacuum and dust the whole house, and she would clean literally the entire house. That's how slow I was before I got done with vacuuming and dusting. And I get $20, and I was like, I'm rich. $20, this is amazing. You know, you're 8 years old, and you're like, $20 can go a long way. I can quit life. I can survive on this. And I bought a pair of Nike Tailwinds. And they were navy blue, white, and orange, and they're $63. And I bought them. I would wear them. You know, if I went to school, I wore a beater pair to school, and then I changed into those, and then I changed out of them at recess, and I changed back into them when I got back from recess. And my mom's like, "You can't do this." So then I would leave the box, and I would just take the shoes in my backpack and hide them from her. And still do the same thing. And so I think you know, growing up, I wasn't like we didn't have the funds for, even though Jordans weren't expensive growing up, we still didn't have the funds for our parents weren't going to do that. Here's your one pair of shoes. If you want to buy something on your own, feel free. I saw the price. I was in fourth grade before I bought something on my own. And then that really turned into loving retro runners and Air Max 1s and Air Max 90s. And I remember, Landon will love this, I remember sitting in chapel in sixth grade, and I had a pair of Air Max 90s on. They were white, black, and red. And one of my friends was like, what are those? And I was like, I mean, they're my Nikes, and like I thought they were cool, and like I probably didn't wear them for like 6 months after that because everybody wore like
That's
New Balance
dope.
574s and the you know, the frat cleats at the time, Sperry's. Thank the Lord I never owned a pair, and that was like that was what got me in it, was just retro runners. And then I get to college, I meet Aaron, I meet my buddy Kyle, and you know, they're like, help me branch out and buy, you know, your first pair of Jordans, or to help you buy a pair of you know, even as simple as a Reebok Club C. And so that kind of helped diversify my shoe game. But it definitely, I still never been able to find them. I don't know if it was a sample pair or what, but some Air Max Tailwinds were the very first shoe that I spent my money on. And I was very, you know, you look at pictures growing up, you're like, can't believe I had those. I had some cleats that were like, if you're a Braves fan, like these cleats that David Justice had, they look like zebras. Like I had those, and some other things. My parents didn't know. They just bought them because they were probably $40 at, you know, Academy Sports or something like that. And then you look back at pictures and you're like, oh, that shoe, I can't believe I had that. That was kind of cool. But definitely on purpose, the first pair was a Nike Tailwind.
That's awesome. That's dope. All right, we usually towards the end of our episodes do a top five. Anybody got a good top five for Alexander to hit for us?
I mean, the layup one is sneakers, right? It's technically a
that's what I
sneaker
was
podcast, but
okay,
we can do Bible verses, and then we can do sneakers. And then, hey,
you're gonna have your lowest listenership because of me, and I just want to say I'm
shut
sorry.
up. Well, that's bullcrap.
No.
Top five political figures. We can do that.
I'm game. That's fine.
Hayes loves
I'm
talking
just kidding.
politics.
I'm just kidding.
Hayes likes towing the line. I can appreciate that.
Oh, I'd toe the line like a mug.
Hayes
We can do all
crosses
the
one,
above. Let's
and
go.
then we have to edit it out.
Yeah, ask whatever. I'll be short and succinct. If we need to speed around, we can. Just I will
Sneaker at
stop
first.
laughing.
Yeah, let's
Sneaker
do
at first.
top five
Sneaker at
sneakers.
first. Oh gosh, Daniel King helped me get this pair, but you know, Chicago Jordan 1 lows. I think I paid I don't even want to tell you how much I paid him because y'all probably kick him off this podcast. He helped me find a pair from Memphis. That's numero
No, say
uno.
how much.
I got him for $100.
Dang, yes,
Nice.
sir.
And I still owe you greatly, and you've never redeemed anything I've ever offered you. So just
No,
text me after this if
false.
there's anything you want. In our defense, that was before they were, you know, $1,000 freaking dollars, and you know, they were about 300 at the time, and then they were worn a little bit, and you know, I'm still looking for a size 9 instead, but I can't pay $1,000. I can't look down at my feet and be like,
Because
This is crazy.
Are they 9.5 or are they 10s?
they're 9.5s, and I'm like, they work,
Yeah.
but a 9 is like is perfect.
Mhm.
So I'd say
Understood.
Chicago Jordan 1s. The Y3, this is gonna sound like a hype beast, but there's a story behind it. The ZX, I think it's the Flux Nets. I don't even know the name of it. It's gonna be bad. The shoe that Jerry Lorenzo made, wildly famous, and we were in New York at the time, and I was like, I can't spend $300 on a pair of shoes. This is crazy. I didn't realize they just came out that day. I was like, if I land back in Nashville tonight, I can call them and buy them. By the time I landed and decided I wanted them, they were sold out everywhere, and they were $500 on secondary. And so I had a buddy, Uriah, who came to the store, and he had a pair, and he was getting rid of them. And I'll be honest, I paid $500 for them. And that's probably shoe number two. I certainly appreciate what Kanye's done, breaking the mold and getting into some new silhouettes and doing some crazy, crazy things. So I would have to throw in my last day of grad school. I got the turtle doves. I sold them to buy my wife's engagement ring, only to find out that I didn't actually need the extra money. So not only does it not reflect in her ring, it also don't have the shoe anymore. But luckily,
you got another
hopefully
shot.
they're true. Yeah, hopefully they're true. That's probably in the top five.
I will camp out for months for that shoe. Like if
Yeah.
I will. There are a few things in my life that I've questioned more than buying a $2,000 pair of shoes, and I think about that like once a week. Like,
Aaron and Jamie were like, you got to wear these. You got to wear these the first day of Rooted. And the first day of Rooted opens, I'm like, guys, I can't look down and see $2,000 on my feet. That's irresponsible. Like, it doesn't matter if I paid $220. Like, it literally doesn't matter. So I sold them for probably like $1,800 or $1,900 and put that towards the ring.
Look at Landon.
Yeah, I know.
For a pair of shoes.
That's awesome.
Gosh.
I definitely put the Sean's in there just because it was the first moment for Rooted of like a wow. And that's why the list is going to be a little skewed, because it seems some hype, but there's like some story behind it of like, this is just a huge moment for us. And it kind of solidified us as a store, and Nike believing in us, and DG helped us do the donuts at the Donut Den. And that was a great release, bringing coffee and just kind of embodied like what we wanted to portray in a release. I put that in my top five, and I'd probably round out, there's so many good ones to choose from, but I'd probably have to say
Just don't say on clouds and we're good.
Or Hokas.
No, off the wall pick.
Or leanings.
They're my Nike
Or cocoonies.
My Nike Alpha Flies. Being a runner and just bridging. That's why I love Nike, is the innovation. Like, they're not afraid to just try something. If they fail, you'll never hear about it because they've got enough money to just, sweep a 270 under the rug. But also they are like just the innovation. And I very rarely have I put on an item and you immediately see the benefits as an athlete from it. And I say an athlete as just a simple everyday runner. I ran in them and immediately was like, the hype is real. Like I am faster. I gave much less of an effort on this 5-mile run than the previous day in my, Zoom X, my Pegasus turbos that have some Zoom X in them. Like, just that shoe was crazy for me. So as a quasi sneaker, we'll put that in there. The Alpha Fly next percent. I guess Zoom Fly first, and then they have the.
That's probably what I'm missing on my non 5-mile runs. I probably could run 5 miles with those, right?
Honestly, it feels like it's doing the running for you, as crazy as it sounds.
Wow,
Like it's
what a free
nuts.
shout out.
It is nuts.
Thank you so much for coming on. This has
so
been a joy.
Fun. This is the best.
Yeah, this is if
This
y'all
is a
want to do
bucket
this and just
list.
not record and just chat next time, that'd be
Or we can do
again,
that
if there's
too.
anything y'all want to
We can
ask,
do
like,
that.
and I didn't answer anything succinctly or what y'all want, but it's obviously always an honor when we get to talk about the Rooted brand and share it with people. And I joke, and I said it earlier, it's like we would not be here without you guys, without our Nashville customer base, because without saying it, y'all supported us and y'all got us to this point where we're looking at doing some exciting things in the future. But if we didn't have y'all, we would not, absolutely no shot be here. Again, we would have some days where customers wouldn't buy anything, but at the same time they stay there for 2, 3, 4 hours. It kept us from jumping off the ledge, kept us from shutting the store down or quitting. And I think that's what Nashville has to offer in a way that I will always be grateful, and Nashville will always be home because of that very thing. So again, just the fact that you wanted to, just one of us to come on here, and I see Landon's wearing the hoodie. It's like, that's an honor. It's one thing to see people line up for a shoe outside the store we had nothing to do with. But at the same time, when someone spends their own money on something that has our name on it or wants to work at our store, that's the moments where I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Am I living? Is this, on punked? Like this is crazy. So just thank you all. If there's anybody in Nashville listening, seriously, from the bottom of all of our hearts at Rooted, this isn't a plea to go buy more stuff. This is just a huge thank you, and hopefully we continue to do some fun stuff to honor and support you all, because man, like you let me live out my dream of working for, I say for myself, that sounds selfish, but in a way, like being able to make decisions that will either sink the company or will help us continue to thrive. And you'll help me get to live that dream out every day. And for that, it's like, I don't deserve this. This is amazing. So thank you,
man. If you're not okay, go buy some stuff from Rooted. It doesn't even matter what it is. Get some merch, buy some Mason Margiela shoes. Like, go get that free shout
I
out.
can't afford those at cost. So for those who can, if you want to employ me, then come on.
So I'm assuming you're headed. What's ahead of you tonight is the raffle for the Union Dunks, right?
Yeah. Here's I've got I'm very old school. Here's all my sheets with sizing and people who have entered multiple times to email and say, hey, please stop, we see you. But yeah, I think these next couple hours are going to be dedicated to definitely we've got Union Dunks and the black and white with the cream bottom dunks. So
Sheesh.
Well, again, thank you for
Much
taking
love,
time
my
away
friend.
from your
Amen.
real job to
Literally.
this is not our real job, so
no, this
this
is
is just
awesome.
fun for us.
I get to be my wife and I get to help with the college ministry at Hillsborough, and some of the kids are like, you're on a podcast, and and of course Courtney shared that, and I was like yeah, you're gonna have to listen to it, but just listen to it with a grain of salt, because it could be a rough go. They've heard these stories 1,000 times. So again, thank you guys so freaking much. This has been a blast, and I love what y'all are doing.
Oh, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Flowers to you. Flowers to Rooted.
Chef's kiss.
Amen.
Lots of them.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Respect.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
Wow.
We have
can't
talked
believe
about
we got
that
to
from
do
day
that.
one, and that lived up to all the hype. All the hype.
I mean, seriously, can you imagine when we started even talking about about us, this group, that we've gotten to talk to all these people that are these just Mount Rushmores of, I don't know, culture in our
Honestly,
city.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is freaking crazy.
And
Yeah.
we're just sitting over here, just like doinking around. Not doinking, because we're doing stuff. Freaking Mason and Hayes are the ones. If y'all haven't
Whatever.
figured this out by now, like 100 episodes in, Mason and Hayes are the only reason that we're still doing this, and the only reason we're here. So shouts out to them, because they're the
Man,
ones
it's
that
just-
keep us actually moving in the right direction
It's just fun.
and actually moving.
It's just we just talked about it in the episode from last week. Like, it's just for fun, man.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that we
still.
get to do this. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is like the stuff that we actually, this is what I love. Like when we just
100%.
get to shut up and hear somebody talk like that and preach like that. That was so cool.
I don't even
Pretty
know what to
awesome.
add. Landon, you got
Pretty
anything at
awesome.
all? Do you feel like the same? You feel like this is just, I mean, why would somebody want to come talk to us?
To hear that people like that he knows we're excited for him to go on a podcast. It's like you know, we just
Who
sit
are
on
you
like,
people?
everybody's been on Zoom before. Like that's all we're doing. Like we're just sitting on a Zoom.
I will say, we were texting earlier, and like I knew that was going to be good, but man, did I underestimate how good that was going to be.
Wow. So if you're going to listen, if you're listening to this for the 8 billionth time on this podcast, hit our DM. Tell us who you is, because we want to know who you are, and we want to communicate and have community with you. And heck, as soon as somebody responds to the DM, I'll start the merch stuff. Like I'm just waiting for that.
Oh, here we go. Man, this is a really good episode up until that moment in time.
I'm still waiting on my vintage package to come in the mail.
Dude,
from
that
2
was
weeks
just
ago.
this week, bro. Whatever. That wasn't
That was
that
like
long ago.
yesterday. No. When
Yeah,
was
that
that?
was-
That was last week. That was last week.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
the
yeah.
29th. I'm sorry, I'm a week behind.
Just kidding.
I'm not. I was serious. Oh man.
And
Hey,
also just to like you just gain such a better appreciation. Like sometimes I don't know. It's just the best. It's just so cool to listen to people who have gone through stuff and have I mean, just hearing just generally his life story and then to see where he's gotten. It's awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah.
you know
No
what's so
doubt.
interesting too? We have a common thread of these people that we keep having on, from Music City Vintage to D Goods to whoever it is. There's this super amount of humility that
Mhm.
I just don't expect. I mean, it's all.
Mhm.
I shouldn't be surprised at this point that they don't see themselves as how we view them, which is crazy because like I can't believe
Yeah.
he wanted to spend this much time talking to us, much less anybody else that we've had on. I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Speechless.
All right. Let's just close this one out with lessons learned. Let's kick it around. Dan, what'd you learn?
Oh man. Sometimes things are going to be 1,000 times better than you expected, and sometimes they're not, and both are good. If life's not hard, you're not living.
Hayes, you got one?
Give people flowers while they can still smell them. Don't be ashamed to share the love of God. And man, there's another really good one. I mean, the humility thing just keeps coming up to me. And hey, he said something, but this is also a great. I think we don't do everything right, but I feel like if this is a case of we have asked people to come on, and that's fine if they say no. But we've been very fortunate. Most people have just said yes, and so just ask things.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that can happen is somebody's going to say no, and that's the worst thing that can happen. And we deal with rejection every single day. And so just I don't know, man, that was so good.
Yeah, I'll go next and I'll let Landon close us out. Man, I thought one of the cool things that he said at the beginning was hope is not a strategy, but sometimes it's all you got.
Yeah,
I thought that was bars right there.
those bars.
Flames. Fuego.
Landon, what'd you learn this week?
And it matters how you treat people.
Amen. Amen.
Just play it.
Get on
Landon,
outta
get some
here.
bars for us.
Bars.
Oh my gosh. Come on. Go, Mason.
I don't have it tonight. I think we just let this one ride out. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we are appreciative of that.
Cookies on the bottom shelf.
Go follow us
Like
at Still Driven TN. Go follow Alexander and his squad at Stay Rooted.
and buy everything that they have on their website, no matter the price.
Tell your friends, tell your grandma. Write us a bad review, but make it 5 stars. Make it funny.
Can be bad as long as it's funny. Thank you all again. It's been a joy. Peace.
Blessings.
Stay rooted.